Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll move on to Representative Saints, Chairman Saints, Study Committee bill. Chairman Saints is on his way. He's not here right this moment, but we've got a lot of people signed up to speak to that bill. We've heard the bill before. It's just a HR bill that we'd like to hear. So I'll start top of our list here. If you come to the podium, Mike. Michael Mumper, is he here? Yeah, Michael.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, committee members. I'm Michael Mumper with Georgians for Responsible Marijuana Policy. We are concerned about the growing access to THC and hemp and marijuana and the potential and real impact it's having on the health and public safety of our citizens here in Georgia. For 2 years now, we've been trying to, what you've heard called, close the Delta loophole, because these products are proliferating so much faster than our policy and our compliance can keep up with it. And this will be the second year in a row that we seem to be pausing on closing this Delta loophole. And I think we're excited about the opportunity for this resolution, HR368, to help us get laser focused on what about this hemp product. Like the previous gentleman said, even though it might be in gummy format sometimes, it's not a food. People are using it as a drug, and we needed to think about it like that. So we're enthusiastic about the opportunities that the study committee could have to answer the questions collectively that we get every day. Questions like the following. Can someone get high on these? How much does it take to get the new user high? A teenager who's never used it before. What about the experienced user? How many milligrams can they use before it starts to impact them? Can hemp consumables impact driving? We've been hearing a lot of testimony from other states that have legalized these, that more car crashes are happening the result of THC, and we don't know what portion of that is from consumables. Can hemp consumables impact workplace attendance and workplace productivity? We know our business community is going to be very concerned about how we're going to address this from a business policy standpoint. Can someone get addicted to THC using hemp consumables? What are the risks to teens and to toddlers when these products are around the house? We know from Dr. Lopez at the Georgia Poison Center, who was mentioned in the last testimony, that 250 calls have come to the Georgia Poison Center in the last 3 years by kids 6 years old and younger who've accidentally ingested hemp consumable products, specifically Delta-8 products. We can ask ourselves in this study committee, what restrictions do other states have on hemp consumables? And what about all these Delta-8s and Delta-6s and Delta-10s? They're so-called isomers of THC. How are they proliferating? How can we best track them and control or regulate them? So GRMP speaks very highly in support of HR 368. We have a lot of colleagues. One of the attachments I gave you is other organizations we're affiliated with who would support such a study. Georgia Baptist Mission Board, Georgia Faith and Recovery Collaboration, Georgia Poison Center, Conservative Republican Women of North Atlanta, Driving Educators of Georgia, 2 treatment programs, etc. So again, my name is Michael Mumper with Georgians for Responsible Marijuana Policy, and thank you, Chairman and Committee, for your time.
Thank you. Any questions for the gentleman? Seeing none, we'll keep moving on. Dr. Greg Rodova, if you'd come. Thank you. Been here before. Is that correct?
Yes, I have.
Please tell the committee your name and your position.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Dr. Greg Raduca. I'm with Georgians for Responsible Marijuana Policy. I chair their Governmental Affairs Committee and I'm Vice President of the board, so I'm here as a volunteer. I've been in substance abuse prevention and treatment for the last 50 years. Don't want to date myself too much. But to me, this is a major, major issue one of the most serious issues that I've encountered in my career. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about it. One of the handouts that you have contains an excerpt of a letter from 20 state attorneys general to the U.S. Congress. And U.S. Congress did create this problem that we're talking about in the first place. The 2018 Farm Bill was very well intentioned to create a market for industrial hemp and non-intoxicating hemp-derived products, but because of a flaw in that law, only one kind of THC was regulated, and that's Delta-9 THC. And so other kinds of THC could be in hemp-derived products at any percentage, and that's the problem. So that a gummy in Georgia can have just 0.3% of Delta-9 THC, which is great. And a great start was made with SB 494 to regulate the Delta-9 in hemp consumables. But it's these other kinds of THC, which HR 368 would also seek to study. And it's just so important that these other kinds of THC that can be derived from hemp are studied and see what regulations could take place regarding like semi-synthetic cannabinoids. And I know it's complicated, but you can make all kinds of THC from the CBD in hemp. And so that's part of the problem. That's what it's called, hemp-derived consumables. So again, the Attorney General letter talked about instead what's happened because of the passage of that 2018 bill is that hemp-derived intoxicants have proliferated across our states, posing a significant threat to public health and safety.
In a matter of time, I assume you are for a study committee to get into more details like you're going. I think this committee is posed in a position to try to decide whether we need a study committee to go into what you're trying to describe. So I would am I correct that you would be in favor of a study committee?
Yes, sir. Very, very much so.
Okay. Well, thank you. And in a matter of time for the committee, we'll move on to some other speakers. Ham Hart, U.S. Hemp Roundtable, is he here? Thank you for being here.
Alan Hart, yeah. Hello, my name is Alan Hart. I am the owner of Classic Sativa in Athens, Georgia. We are members of the U.S. Hemp Roundtable. I am for 368 as long as this is a comprehensive study. We can't just check mark whether something is intoxicating or not. The other thing that I did not see in the resolution already was there's no definition for intoxication and what is the intent of the study, because the study like this hasn't really been done. We do have some information, including the NIH, the National Institute of Health, actually tells us that overall in Colorado and Washington in the difference between the years 2009 and 2015, which is significant because that's when marijuana was in between those 2 years. Marijuana was introduced as recreationally legal in those two states. And the overall annual motor vehicle crash fatalities rates decreased from 12.8 fatalities per billion vehicles miles traveled in 2009 to 11.4 fatalities per billion vehicle miles traveled in 2015. So please, I want everybody to consider that when we talk about these different cannabinoids that are being mentioned in this bill, THCA, Delta-8, these are all isomers. All things the plant makes actually are isomers of each other. Don't be worried about the things like isomers, and don't be worried about these people who disingenuously want to end the hemp industry. What I would like to have, and this study should have been done by the marijuana industry and the low THC oil industry in this state, but they've been dragging their feet. So we do need this study, and I'm for this study as long as it is comprehensive and we can understand cannabinoid by cannabinoid. We know that each of them reacts to receptors in our heads and in our bodies differently than the other cannabinoids. Delta-9 is the one we know the most about. Delta-8 is prevalent in the state. THCA has almost no intoxication, probably zero intoxication when studied correctly, but THCA easily converts into delta-9. We also have a lot of other cannabinoids on this list that are important, but this list is not comprehensive either. So please, I beg, just be very comprehensive about what we're talking about, why we're talking about it. We're talking about intoxication levels of different things that react with our body completely differently. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll keep going down the list. Aaron Jamiris, yes. If you could tell the committee who you are and who you represent.
Yes, sir. My name is Aaron Jimenez. I have my own marketing freelance business, and one of my clients is Alan at Classic Sativa. I am in favor of HR368 with stipulations. So I am always in favor of education. If this is about learning about the listed cannabinoids and keeping an open mind to the science and the personal testimonies of people that are going to provide their input, I'm for it 100%. However, if this is about finding specific information to validate the already formed opinions of those on the committee, I am sad to say I'm not interested in that. And some of the language in the resolution already points to this confirmation bias, which is worrisome. If y'all are open to revising it, I would revise the language of the resolution to be more neutral, to better show the good intent of this, assuming that it has good intent. I would like to assume that. I would also love to know the reasoning behind the specific list of cannabinoids. I'm not sure that I agree with the grouping, but again, I am always in favor of education based on the whole plant. So the more the merrier, but also keep an open mind to the science. But yes, as was a problem with the last bill, the author mentioned, not reaching out to his office with revisions prior to it reaching y'all's committee. To be absolutely fair and frank, I have reached out to Representative Sain's office to provide input on a couple of his bills this session and never received a call back, which is why I would like it on record that I do feel like revisions need to be made to this. But overall, I feel like this would be a good thing. So, pro with stipulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ashwood Swan, is he here?
She had to run out to another meeting.
Okay. Aviva, where are you? There you are. And you brought Swiggles.
Scribbles is here.
I was hoping you did. Representative Corbett really been looking forward. He's been asking me all week if you were going to be here. And so please speak to the committee.
Well, thank you. Hi, Representative Corbett and Chairman Dickey and committee. We also very much are into education and awareness and are very happy to see this resolution come to this committee. I just want to stress how hopeful I am that you will include some of my peers who know a lot more science than I do about cannabis. There are literally cannabis universities here studying how it works. I understand the importance of this bill when it comes to isolates. I would love to see a comparative analysis in it to just the natural flower, which is God-made.
Yeah, what she said.
And that's all. I mean, I'm just going to keep it really brief. I'm really hopeful that you'll include some of our peers and maybe we can meet and, talk about how THC degrades to CBN and different things happen. I'd love you to hear from some other people today. So that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments. Has anybody got questions? We really do appreciate your expertise and experience with hemp. And so,
Thanks for having us.
Representative Corbett.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for bringing it. And I've been pronouncing Scribble's name wrong all these years. I've been calling him Scribbles, and it's.
Could you clarify that?
Clarify his name for me.
For some reason, Corbett started the bad habit of calling me Squiggles, and now I walk around the Capitol and people call me Squiggles, but that's okay. My name is Scribbles.
Scribbles. So, for the
Thank
record.
you. All right, we got a couple more. Joe Salami. See here, Joe, you want to speak to our committee? Thank you.
Thank you for the committee for having me up here today. My name is Joe Salome. I'm with the Georgia Hemp Company. We own 6 locations here in the state of Georgia. We opened in 2017. I'm an entrepreneur and I followed the hemp industry and I've grown with it. In the past year, my sales have decreased in half since the October 1st bill. We've lost a lot. We've lost a lot of patients and clients through that time. I do believe this is an important resolution to educate consumers as well as the general public about what we're doing in our industry and how we're helping people with the products that we sell. I've smelled death on cancer. I've helped seizures stop in children. What we do every day is very important, and these products are very important as well. So taking them away was really bad, first off, but I think understanding what they do is very important, and this study could help that. Yes, there are isomers out there, and that has helped our industry grow and helped us actually compete. Our industry is equitable for both consumers and businesses. You can't say that about the medical marijuana industry. To Alan's point, it was their job to do research, and now we're putting it on the hemp industry to do research. It's a little backwards. Our hemp industry and our cannabis industry here in the state need to be merged. I know they've invested a lot of money, but so have we. We've definitely been doing this longer than them. And I do agree that this bill is needed for both sides of the table. I guarantee you they want to utilize these cannabinoids just like we are, because they'd like to have more products on their shelves and they'd like to have more clients in their business. We are a threat to them. And so the more that we have regulations come down on us, the further we'll be pushing the corner. After hearing that Kratom conversation, it is ridiculous what I've heard up here day after day and session after session about how our industry is such a bad thing. We've done nothing but help. Cans of cannabis are not guns. Tincture oil is helping people. What we sell is unbelievable. I do believe in flower power. I believe for what my father fought for in the military, and I believe for what my mother did as her career in nursing her whole life. And now what I'm able to do on the outside of that in the general public is amazing. And what we're doing is trying to put guardrails on us. I mean, look at the conversation about Kratom packaging alone. The guy sat up here and told you it kills people. Cannabis has never killed anyone, but Kratom has killed people, and we're sitting up here talking about regulating it. It's just crazy to hear these two conversations follow each other and us be put under so much scrutiny and lights when we know this product has never killed anyone. There's FDA-approved medicine. Dr. Raphael Meshulam in Israel 60 years ago did research on Delta-8. We know what it can do on your CB2 receptors in your peripherals. Why it doesn't mess with your neurologicals. That we have the research is out there. We have to accept it and we have to utilize it and we have to read it. We can't be arrogant and say, no, that doctor in Israel 60 years ago didn't discover the endocannabinoid system. He did. And now he has researchers underneath him who work for the pharmaceutical companies who have created those CBD products that are now FDA approved. It's out there. We need to be having, the plants don't know they have names. Cannabis, hemp, they're the same thing. What we've done is we've drawn lines because of old propaganda. And now we have two different industries fighting each other when they should be coming together. This research can be used for both sides of the table, and at this point, I'm recommending that we blow up our system here in Georgia and bring them together. 6 companies can sell medical marijuana, but 4,100 hemp companies can do what we're doing. It doesn't make sense on either side, quite frankly. I want to save my business, and I want to be able to answer my daughter when I go home and she asks me, hey, Dad, do you think bad happened to your business again today? And I can say, no, daughter, I fought like hell to try to protect us and the consumers that are getting this product every day. I have to shut down 2 of my stores this year, one in July and one in December. That's less product availability. That's less of what I'm doing for the good. I appreciate your time today. I hope our words and our testimony can make an impact. But this is getting really tiring. 6 months later, we're now talking about doing things again to our industry. I agree, we need to understand it more. I think we take the research that's out there, but we need to do this for the betterment of our citizens and not look at this as a negative thing. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you for your passion. Got one question, Chairman Corbett.
Thank you for your passion that you bring. Just one question: what part of the bill last year that it was introduced, it signed in October, it says it cost you a third of your business?
It's half of my business. I've lost 50% of the
bill?
clientele,
I mean,
50% of my revenue.
what part of the bill?
The THCA flower was a huge thing. The farmers not being able to sell their raw their raw flower. That product, the most easily accessible way for a consumer to get the product inside of them, that was huge. Edibles as well. Only being able to sell a sugar cube gummy right now. I mean, we're selling two things right now: gummies and beverages. And now beverages are back on the table to be cut. We need products to be able to sell people, and I think there's a market for low dose and high dose.
Because I know the original bill that was passed, I think in 18, the flour wasn't permitted or any food product unless approved by the FDA. That's just
regulation needs to happen when the bill's passed. Once you let a whole industry grow, the entire country moved together, and we started just like Kratom.
Yeah.
I mean. We were able to do that, and now we have dogs eating dog biscuits, helping them live longer, have no anxiety during rainstorms or arthritis as they get older. Yeah, we don't consider them food items. We do consider them supplements. We consider them health and wellness products.
Thank you. We've got a couple of more speakers. Mari Greer, if you'd come, and we're gonna have you and a couple more, and then we're going to hear from Department of Ag. I see Catherine Russell here, and that'll be, and maybe the author of the bill will be here by then. So.
Hi, my name is Mary Geyer. I am the owner of Nuts and Berries Neighborhood Market. We have been in business for 45 years, serving the Brookhaven and Greater Atlanta market. I represent tens of thousands of people who consume these hemp products. Joe, I buy products from Joe. I buy products from companies across the United States. We've been selling hemp since the very first Farm Bill allowed for products to be made, and I'm for education, as the lovely marketing lady said, but I really think that I would implore everyone to really consider when you're nominating the people to be on the committee that it really does take a scientific approach, and the biases that are very, very deep in every person that I've seen in our government speak on this topic really be taken into account, because I think that we have to think about science in 2025 and not science in 1983. I think genetics have evolved. I think we're still talking about cannabis sativa and cannabis indica and cannabis ruderalis. And I think if you look at the genetic footprint of the cannabis plant, there are scientists that are working in Oregon and in Colorado and in California that have moved way past that. And I think that while y'all are studying intoxicating cannabinoids, if that's what you'd like to call it, I think that you really need to make sure that you are taking a broader approach to where you're getting your information from, not just the United States. The best research is coming from other countries because we've been so hamstringed because of the types of research we've been allowed to do. So my hope for you all while you're doing this is that you will look outside of yourselves for where you're asking questions. I started learning about the endocannabinoid system in 2015 when nobody would explain it because they were afraid of marijuana and, hemp being the same thing. It is the same thing. It is all one plant, cannabis sativa. I have a degree in horticulture, a background in botany, and so, marijuana and hemp are common names, and that's, how it is. And that's okay, but when we really look at the DNA footprint of this particular plant, we understand that it has certain constituents in it, and we should be thinking about how they work with the body. There's an entire system in our body, the endocannabinoid system, that actually works with those particular constituents of that plant. That's not like all the other things that we talk about. There is no ibuprofen system in our body. There is no Adderall system in our body. There is an endocannabinoid system. So when we're thinking about banning these things because they're intoxicating, we have to remember that intoxication is a really slippery slope. 5 milligrams of THC for you might be different than 5 milligrams for you. 5 milligrams for Joe might be different than 5 milligrams for me. I can promise you it is. 5 milligrams is my dose. 5 milligrams is not Joe's dose. He takes a different dose. And how do I know that? I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but it's different for every human being. And I think for us as a government organization to put a limit on something that we know very little about, we're still saying that a 10 milligram drink and 4 beers are the same thing. They are not. But, I mean, how do I know that? Because I help tens of thousands of people every month purchase these products in a safe way. You know, everything I sell is organic. I don't do food dyes. You know, I make sure I vet. I have, at some point in the past 10 years, gone to almost every facility of every product that I sell in my store to make sure that they have a clean room, that they're not letting people walk in their street clothes, that they're, you know, following all of the laws and procedures. I think that's very important. But I think that there are a lot of good players like me in this space that are being punished because we don't have the right amount of education. So my hope for you all is as you're choosing your members and colleagues to be on these educational committees, that you really do take into account the biases that people have, because there is a lot of history when it comes to the cannabis plant, you know, all the way back to the 1930s. We know that, but we really need to understand the history before the 1930s and how cannabis was used medicinally, because it was very heavily. Yes, there was snake oil, but guess what? There's still snake oil, and a lot of big companies sell snake oil too. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate you being here. Representative Osteen, do you have a question?
I am a former chemo nurse, so I took care of one of my classmates many years ago that would have given his right arm for medical marijuana. So I'm listening with an open ear. But just like you just said, was the same issue that I have with the kratom, is that, you know, we don't know the variance of what is a safe level, what intoxicates each one of us is going to be different. The issue I have is that it's people are self-medicating without the oversight of, you know, what is a safe dose every 4 hours, every 6 hours, this. They're getting in cars, they're riding up and down the road, they're going to work, they're operating machinery. And, you know, that's also a responsibility that I take very seriously on this committee as to what is an appropriate, you know, if you're talking about making something legal that people have access to in a convenience store that is intoxicating, and then they're going and getting in their car and taking a hit or whatever and riding up and down the road, that's very serious to me. So I appreciate that point. But to that point, there's also a lot to consider.
There is, and I thank you for saying that, because I think that you should very much consider comparing that to alcohol. How many of you have had an alcoholic drink in the past week? And how many milligrams of alcohol is in that drink, do you know? Do you know what your dose of alcohol is? Do you know that some people can have 1 glass of wine and be totally drunk, and some people can have 20 glasses of wine and not be drunk at all? I mean, we regulate alcohol, and we say you have to be 21, and now we've said you have to be 21 to buy hemp. Okay, and I think that the real gist of it needs to be, we all have C of A's. You made us get C of A's. We always got C of A's, which means I understand every single ingredient that is in every product that I sell. I think that that's okay to ask of a retailer, of a manufacturer, to be very clear and transparent in that. We don't necessarily get that in the alcohol industry, just so you know. I specialize in ingredients, and there's a whole lot of scary, really scary ingredients in alcohol. And so, you know, but that is legal, and no one gripes about that being sold in the gas station. And so I think more people are buying CBD products and THC, hemp-derived THC products from reputable people than they are necessarily from the gas stations. And I just think that as long as we have these clear guidelines in place, and we are studying and constantly studying current science and not preconceived notions, I think that's going to be a good thing. I don't think you're going to go wrong with education ever. But I do think that we should consider that there are a lot of biases, that people are going to be bad actors, that individual consumers can't make their own medical decisions, that individual consumers can't take care of their own body. We use ibuprofen whenever we want it, and ibuprofen kills more people than cannabis every single year. We use more, you know, we drink alcohol whenever we want it, as long as we're 21. And so I think as long as we're okay to make those decisions, we should be okay to decide whether or not we want to take a 5 milligram gummy or drink a 10 milligram drink. We can't sell 100 milligram drinks here in Georgia. It's not legal any longer. And so 10 milligrams is not, you know, we're talking about low dose. And all of these limits are under the Farm Bill 0.3% THC. And so, like, I think that the people that made that bill did a little bit of research. So maybe we should really be looking at the research from that farm bill of how they came up with 0.3%. So I know Europe has limits as well. I know certain parts of Europe has a 0.2%. And again, I think that they have a lot of history and research as well. So we could be pulling all that together.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that perspective. We do have a lot to consider this, and I hope we can get to the bottom of it and come up with something good for our consumers in this state. Got two more speakers, if y'all would keep it short, and then we'll go to Catherine Russell with Department of Ag. Jay Reeves, are you here? If you could tell us a little bit what you want to say.
Thank you, committee, for hearing me today. My name is Jay. I help manage retail locations and create labels for consumer products. Our packaging currently says you can't drive while using, to not operate heavy machinery, and to not use while pregnant, and to keep away from children. We are taking the precautions necessary to make sure consumers are aware of any potential dangers, if any. Last year in October, we got banned organic hemp and limited serving sizes, which did close many small businesses in Georgia and saw the loss of hundreds of jobs. The businesses that did survive have barely done so and have spent all their time, money, and effort to become compliant to last year's restrictions and laws. Banning organic flour in October just meant that our businesses got hurt. Georgia lost sales tax on hundreds of thousands of sales, and those consumers just went back and got it from the street. Instead of just banning, limiting, or reclassifying THC and its isomers, I do believe creating a joint committee and taking the time to study these other cannabinoids is the right decision. It allows us to take into account consumer tolerance levels and not letting one person decide what the right dose is for thousands of consumers, all who are different, using it for different reasons. I hope a fair, comprehensive study can also benefit the hemp industry. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Jeff,
you could just say Jeff, man.
Yeah.
You could just say
Okay.
Jeff. I'm so sorry, sir. It's
Well,
my last
great.
name is Yabuki, and people have butchered it since I could talk, since I could remember. So, hey, committee members. My name is Jeff. I work with Jay. We own 5 locations here in Georgia. I am in support of the bill. I do believe that having some people from the industry would be helpful. I do believe that our industry's impact on Georgia, whether it be financially or just consumer happiness, or maybe taking a little bit of the different addicted substances and switch them over to something non-addictive, is very helpful. And I do believe that us being in there would be awesome. I heard a couple of things. No one I've ever met has ever advocated for 6-year-olds taking this stuff. Just because it's bought at a gas station doesn't mean they have to go in their car and take it, just like we would judge anyone who went in their car and downed a beer as soon as they bought it, right? We'd be like, you can wait till you get home. We believe the same thing. We're not asking for any crazy stuff. We're asking for self-control and expecting that people are responsible because they don't want to get a DUI or they don't want to do whatever, the same as we do on anything else. Beyond that, I would love to agree with him. We struggled a whole lot after this last bill came. Banning all flour of all kinds, regardless of the THC content, hurt. I mean, we've been in business since 2018. I have 5 locations. We've grown steadily. And to just lose a product that has been there since the beginning was crazy. Not the THCA or any others, but I mean, some form of consumable flour has been legal since the beginning. I'm not exactly sure why we're up here again arguing over the same things. When there is something like a study committee available, that seems like the first thing that we should have done to understand what we're doing before we make decisions. I feel like that's the process that we would take for so many other things. And I'm grateful that we're coming to a place where we could take that process here. I would just love if someone from our industry or people from our industry could be a part of whatever the outcome of our industry is going to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have one more speaker, and I'd like to tell the speakers here, please give Kimberly your email if we do have a study committee, so you can be notified when we do. Some of you have got some great perspectives, and I want to make sure y'all are included at a meeting at the proper time. So, one more, Jeff Breedlove, are you here? You'd like to speak? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Please, the committee, I'm Jeff Breedlove, a person in long-term recovery from addiction. I'm here on behalf of the Georgia Council for Recovery in support of the study committee. Let me start by saying I agree. I think there should be someone from the industry on this study committee. I think there should be law enforcement. I think there should be family members who have lost a loved one to this product on the study committee, and I think there should be survivors of this product on the study committee. And I think we should have a great diversity of voices, and we should have a very, very public discussion about this. Now, I'm going to tell you, I did not ask to come up here today to save my business. I came up here to talk about saving lives. Today, the number one cause of death in the state of Georgia for Georgians 18 to 45 are issues related to what we're talking about. And that's far more important than anybody's profit or anybody's store. It's important to be in alignment with reality. Trix Crispy Bars are not aimed at you. They're aimed at your kids. THC edibles. The Stoner, they forgot to show you the Stoner Extreme High Advisory. That's not aimed at you. It's aimed at high school kids and college kids. They forgot to talk about cannabis-induced psychosis today, which is filling up emergency rooms across Georgia. And we should talk about that at a study committee. They forgot to tell you that the National Institutes of Health have article after article after article of deaths following the ingestion of edibles. Oh, in Colorado. And they forgot to tell you that in fact in Colorado, traffic deaths related to these products have actually increased 11.43%, not decreased. So you bet we should talk about this in Georgia, and we should make sure we actually bring real facts that impact real families. And we should decide if we care more about lives and science and medical issues or profits. So let's have this study committee, and let's do it very transparently.
Thank you very much. Well, that is all of us people signed up to speak this morning, and I see Representative Chairman Saints here. Would you like to come to the podium, and are you speaking for or against your study committee? We have heard lots of
more importantly, I'm
testimony this morning.
I've listened in. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for my delay, but I think you've heard from both sides. I think we're talking about the lives, but also the livelihoods of Georgians, and no one will not say this issue is not complex. I think Michael and Greg, who've educated me on the prevention side, I've heard from testimony from the industry, and I know many members of the committee have also talked to Department of Ag, who's also tried to strike a balance, but it's time for our legislature to lead. I'm hopeful the Senate will pass similar legislation so that we can unofficially meet together, but like the previous author said, it should be done transparently. It will affect individuals from both sides, but it is a product disruptor, a market disruptor that has the potential to apparently do good, but we also know it has the potential, especially when we talk about youth and the developmental cycle, to do harm. And we should lead on that and find strike a measure that ensures the safety of our consumers is put in the forefront. That's all I have.
Thank you. And just hold on. I'm going to ask Catherine Russell if she can come to the podium mic. And for both of these bills, actually, this morning, we've been asking or looking to the Department of Ag for the regulation side of it. And it's very complicated and costly and those type of things. So, Catherine, I know you've been working real hard with the author of this bill and over in the Senate as well. So just if you'd like to say a few words this morning to the committee, and then we'll move on.
Certainly. The department is very excited about the idea of a study committee. We feel like this is a really important topic that the legislature hasn't had the opportunity to really dig into the way that the subject matter requires. We know that there is a study committee moving in the Senate for the same issue, and we really, really hope to see both of these study committees make over the summer so that we can have a robust discussion about what's best for the people of Georgia.
Any questions of Ms. Russell or the author of the study committee bill? Chairman Corbett.
Proper time, I'd like to make a motion.
Seeing no other questions, I think this would be a proper time.
Do fast.
Have a motion, have a second. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Oppose? Motion passes. Thank you, Representative Saints. Is anybody, got one other question.
Yes, Chairman, I'd like to know if when these study committees would take effect, would our committee be visitors? Will we be invited to hear the testimony on this?
That is a very valid point to make, and I will certainly make the committee aware of it, and we'll see who the speaker puts on the committee if it were to pass this year. Hopefully it does. It is a complex issue, and we've got some real work to do if we want to regulate these products. Thank you for that comment. Got one, Chairman Corbett.
I'd just like to remind everybody that the Rural Caucus will be meeting today at 12 here at the Ag building. Come join us for lunch.
Thank you. And I've got one more. We have a new bill that it hit committee just yesterday, HB 817. Wish you would look at it. We've got some, and in fact, I wore my beef tie this morning. We've got some great pasture-raised beef and organic meat being produced in this state, and we just want to make sure it continues to be a great product for our state. So we might need to listen to that bill before the end of the year. So we don't. You're not in your. Yes. So with no other business, thank you for your patience this morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Meeting adjourned.